This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. Well, last week we got to sanding the cabin top because hopefully this week, if the weather cooperates and we have some overcast days, we are going to get to fairing that.
Yeah, I'm both looking forward to it and dreading it at the same time because that's going to be a monster job to fair that first coat of that entire cabin top. But if it's sunny or the days that are sunny, we're going to continue working on the mullions because we are hell bent on getting those mullions finished in there and moving on to new and exciting things on the boat. But we got a lot to get done if we're going to get that faired. So let's get right over to work here and get started. It's Monday morning and Brian's cleaning up the last mullion that we made from last week. So we'll get that one ready to go. And then upstairs, I just cleaned up the vent tubes, which are now all glassed in here. So those are the bottom ones, and then up there is the exits out over there, and the ones on the starboard side are all done as well. And down below here, the tubes just come down like this, and there's going to be a wall that sits here, and just on the other side of the wall we'll hook a hose clamp here, a hose, and then this will be where the filters are against the wall inside the heads. So those are the vents. They come up through there, and they'll come up through the mullions, run up the post, and exit out up top up there. So those are all ready to go, and that means there's almost nothing stopping us from putting the mullions in. I got to do a more little cleanup on the fiberglass edges here before we can glue them in, but we'll clean those up, and then we've got to put a little radius on the outside so that we can wrap the glass around those posts. So we'll clean them up, put a little radius on them today, and start putting mullions on. And so this, we'll try to get 6 of these on, the ones that are with the vent holes. So this one, and this one, the same over here, because these vent holes are all done as well. So, and I know that looks odd when you get down here and you say, oh, that's sticking down. Just remember that the wall's here, so you're not going to be running into that because there's a wall. Okay, well, let me get to work on that. All right, we're going to sand these openings of the windows. I'm going to use the grinder over here and knock off the big stuff, and then Brian's going to hit over here with a sander to do the finer work of getting that edge smoother. So we'll do the same simultaneously. I'll be on the port, he'll be on the starboard. I finished all the grinding upstairs on the port side windows, so Brian's over there doing the fine sanding on that side now. He finished the starboard side. And while he's doing that, I'm cutting some more of our beam that's going to go across the roof to support the center there. And these are the outer sides, so I've got to cut these down to 5 thick, like this, about 42 inches long, this in centimeters, and then I'll start figuring out the beveling on the edges and all that good stuff. We also need to glue these together so that by tomorrow we can start gluing these to the cabin top. Now these are also going to insert into mullion number 3, and so they have to be notched in to insert in there. So we'll be getting to that once I get them cut. All right, so that's the block. After lots of work, we are finally gluing the first mullion onto the boat. Yay, finally. Okay, number 1. Yeah, now we just have to push some air through. Make sure that the epoxy didn't close off the vent tubes. And we put a paper towel like this in so that the epoxy wouldn't be in there. We can just pull it out before it sets up. But we couldn't really do that on these ones up here easily, so we're just going to blow those out. All right, going down. Got my air. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Air. Okay, now we're clear. One vent tube is working. There.
Yeah. This one has a notch in it for our ceiling reinforcement beam to go across there. It inserts into there.
This morning we're beveling the edges on the beam that goes across. We need a rounded curve there so we can wrap these with fiberglass. So we're routing off a radius on here. Okay, so we've routed our edge on our beams that go up on the ceiling. Makes a nice rounded for that fiberglass to go around. Ready to go.
So our goal of this week is to get all of the mullions in. That means that all of the rope has to be into these, and there's 3 windows we haven't roped yet. So we're going to get started today and get this one roped in. Then we'll go work on mullions.
Ropes! Well, down to the go! But that's it for today on ropes. We're going to move on to the corner mullions now. Well, because of this bend around this corner, we're not going to glue all of the mullion together before we put it on. We have this main piece that we're going to put on all glued together. But around the bend pieces here, we're going to do these as 3 separate little pieces, and then we're just going to clamp the whole thing and let it set up here rather than set up ahead of time and then glue it on here. And that's just because it's hard to get those things in a perfect position when it's not against this. So we're just going to go ahead and glue it right against the window and get the mullion in here. So just a lot more clamps, and then this one will be set up. So we're ready to put this together. Got it all prepped and cleaned. We're on the port side mullion here, and we're starting to get these pieces cut in. This is a very custom triangular piece that goes into this gap here, like so. And then that means that we only have to put 2 flat pieces out here to mate up to that one, and then we're working on the next one out. So each of these has to be very custom fitted because of the rounded corners up here. So a lot of grinding work to get these anywhere near right. Ryan's cutting the last piece that has to fit this curve up here right now, and then he'll cut it with a jigsaw, bring it over, see what it fits, and then we'll grind it a little bit more to get it to customize the fit. Okay. I think we can live with that. Curve looks pretty good over there. Yep. So, our second mullion of the day. These corner ones were a little tricky because we want to keep the angle of this one coming in, and then we want to keep the angle of this going across. So this had to go through this bend in the mullion right there, which we have gotten nicely. So that worked out very well. It was a lot of work, but in the end it's going to make it very, very strong, because now once we put a cove in here, here, and here, we can glass across this whole thing. And I just knocked down loose. And wrap around the whole post with basalt. And so that's going to work out really well. And we've got the one over there done as well today. So that was our goal of the day, get these 2 corners worked out and glued in. So that just leaves the 5 across the middle. And with having gotten 4 over on that side, on the starboard side, and 4 over here in 2 days, that means we've got to get 5 in 3 days. So that should be easy enough. Now, of course, we have to rope in those 2 other windows still, but even so, we have an whole extra day there, so that should go quite well. So we're happy with progress on the mullions. Since we got those mullions done, we decided we'd already worked on the support beam that goes across, so why not glue it in and get a little bit of extra work done today. That'll make me feel good. I always like it when we get more done than we planned. So we're just mixing up some epoxy right now. We're going to put it on all 3 boards at once. And we'll bring the center one up first, put it on its marks, tap the 2 side ones into place, and then make sure that everything's lined up perfectly, and we'll be done. We're getting ready to put our support beam in. So we've got a laser out here, and we're marking it across both sides of where it mounts into the mullion up there. And then we're going to get a couple of jacks and put them down here and lift up the board and pin it in place with some glue. Anything else left? Or was that it? Okay, let's put it up. We have a beam. Tomorrow, this will be glued on, and now we can tab this whole thing on. So, a task for tomorrow, tabbing the beam. Late in the week, this is, well, midweek, we have gray skies this morning. And that means back to work on the roof. So we are going to get some fairing done today. And got here a little early, got things all prepped up. Gonna start cleaning the roof, and Brian's going to start mixing up some fairing compound for us in a moment. Got to do a little bit of prep before we start. Just talking to Brian here, who's mixing up our first batch of fairing compound. That every time we do a job on this boat, it's the first time we've done that kind of job. And this will be the first time we faired the roof. And so it's always a bit of an experiment. But our plan is he's just going to keep mixing as fast as he can. And I'm going to be spreading it out. And if he starts to get ahead of me, I'll tell him to slow down. But we're not sure how long it'll take us to get this first coat of fairing compound on. Now our goal today is to get the entire cabin top with a layer of fairing compound on it. Now I'm starting over here in this corner. This is the most precarious corner because normally it will be supported by the helm seat and such here, but that's not built yet. And so we just have this temporary post in on this corner and another temporary post over there, but temporary posts aren't exceedingly secure. Now for holding the roof up, it's fine. For standing on it and doing fairing work, it's not so fine. So I'm going to do the fairing from the side here. I can walk over here on the helm, and we've put a table here so that I can walk out here and get to fairing this from down below without having to set on it. You can just see how precariously set up this is. So we don't want to stand on this. So that's good. We should be able to do it without doing that. So all good. Now the rest of the roof is much more secure. So it's just this one corner that is somewhat precarious. And it's nice and cool. It's only going to get to maybe high 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This in Celsius today. So it's going to be a nice cool day all day. Now it's going to get sunny later in the afternoon, but this should have set up enough, and it's a thin coat, so by the time that the sun breaks through the clouds. It should be fine to be out here. Now, by being a thin coat, it's also going to set up pretty fast. And so by the time this afternoon comes, this should be hard enough that we can recover this for the night with our tarps. That's the plan. Let's see if the weather is going to cooperate with our plan. We'll see. So far it is. Now the weather's supposed to be the same tomorrow, so we'll be back on the roof tomorrow starting the sanding process on this fairing coat. And we'll see how fast that goes. Don't know. First time.
Let's see how it goes.
We're mixing 400 milliliters per bucket, and each bucket does about 2 square meters is all. So that's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, buckets. So it's going to take 20 more to do just this. Well, excuse me, 10 more to do this strip right here, and then another 10 for the next strip back. So we'll be mixing and scraping for quite some time. We have had some experience doing fairing. We had to fair the canoes. It was a similar process. That was a lot harder to sand because it was all various curves. This is going to be all mostly flat except right where the seam is. And so this should be a lot easier to sand flat. But the application is similar. And we do have Epoxy paint coming. So if we can get this faired this week, next week, we'll see if we get to paint. The thing is that we don't know how long the sanding will take. We don't know how many coats of fairing compound it'll take. Now the hulls took between 9 and 11 applications. That's a lot. Probably because we're amateurs. But those were those, like I said, those very strange changing curves of that whole thing. It was very difficult. With this being flat, I don't think it's going to take all that many coats to get it pretty flat. Now this one, you're going to go to maybe 80% in the first one, and then we'll see. The second coat might get us to 90-95%. We'll see. So I don't think more than 3 to get this roof flat. Now also remember that everywhere that you see this black, which is actually the basalt, going all the way down here, is all going to be non-skid. So it doesn't have to be glossy perfect for that non-skid. Certainly 3 coats is definitely going to do that. We'll see if we even need 3. So it's already really flat, very nice, and so the amount of fairing needed is going to be very minimal. And then of course the non-skid will hide any light warble of it. But this stuff out here, for example, nothing's going to coat this. There's no solar panels, there's no non-skid, nothing out here. So this has to get fared fairly nicely, because it's going to be a glossy coat of paint out there. Now over on the other side, over here, there are solar panels running down the entire side of the boat over there. And so, again, we'll still want to get it pretty nice, but it's going to be covered mostly. The only other place that's not covered with either non-skid or solar panels is that little area up there. That's where all the lines come in from the mast and over to the line handling area here. And so that has to be very nice up there, because it's, again, going to be very visible. So it all depends on which section of the roof we're talking about as to how much effort we're going to put into getting it, you know, mirror finished nice or pretty nice, which is what the non-skid will be. What's going to take for the longest is actually mixing. I probably should have brought in some extra people, but it's a Wednesday and I don't easily get people. They're working during the week, so we can't easily get extra people in on weekdays like this. And I had no choice, because the weather was like this today, so we have to go. Well, we've been at this for about 3 hours now, and got the back all the way down the side here, and we've come up the starboard side a little bit. We're going to try to finish this off, and then we're going to go ahead and catch lunch right now, because it looks like this gray sky stuff is going to continue a little later into today, so we can go to lunch, come back and see if we can get the rest of this. If not, Friday is going to be cloudy all day again, so we can get the rest of this done then, or get to work sanding and maybe another layer of fairing on top of this one. So the weather's cooperating, so all is going well. Well, Brian's been mixing now for, well, probably about 5 hours, close to it, non-stop, other than we did take a break for lunch. And another home stretch now. I just got to back my way down here and fair this last bit. And this will be the single largest surface that we have to fair on the entire boat. This, just from a square footage, this was not one I was looking forward to, because it's outdoors and couldn't do it in the sun, so we had to have the perfect day. And it's just, since we have the perfect day, we had to just go while it's still not sunny. And so it looks like we're going to make it, get this whole entire first coat, which is the hardest coat because we have to spread everywhere. Once we sand it and we go to do it again, now it's more like spots here and there that are low spots that we fill, so it's nowhere near this much epoxy the second time. I have to be careful I don't step in or kneel in my wet epoxy everywhere. It's all done. We've got the whole cabin top with its first layer of fairing compound on, and it's still just starting to peek the sun out in a few places. So we got it done in time and all in one day, so we're happy about that. Well, that was about, what, 3 by 5 foot section, using the rotating sanded there, knocked the highs off for the most part in about 20 minutes for this section. But now we're going to have to hit it with a little bit of torture boarding to smooth out the individual areas that are high between them. That'll take a little bit more, but it's already made it a whole lot smoother now than it was with just the rotator. So it's important to hit it with this longboard on these big flat surfaces, but that's getting pretty good. This is only coat number 1, so what we have to do is get this pretty good. There's going to be a few low spots we can't sand down to. That's what we fill in the second round, and you can see by the dark spots where it's not getting down to. So there's no real reason to have to put any dye on here. It already shows sanded is white, it's kind of gray there. Just not getting down to. Now I'll hit it with the torture board a little bit more, but eventually there's going to be a few gray spots left, and we'll put a very thin coat of fairing compound over to fill again. But overall, it's looking pretty good for the first coat. We got Jeff helping today, and we're going to finish up the last 2 windows here. They're doing rope, and then we're going to move over and do the mullion that goes in there. Also, we're going to fill thickened epoxy around the edges of these 3. So we got a lot of more mullion work here to go. We'll also get some more sanding in up on the roof. I took a break to do this, but a lot of sanding to get that first coat of fairing on the cabin top done. Top deck, I suppose. The other way of saying it. Final rope of the final window. Always nice to be at the end of a task. This has been a very long task to get these windows measured and cut and roped and filled and mullions. A very long task, but we're getting towards the end here. Certainly last roping. Our reward for getting all the ropes finished is to get back to doing mullions. We've got 5 more mullions that we've got to get glued on. Fortunately, we've made them all, so it's just a matter of gluing. That's not too bad. Before we do the mullions, we've got to fill these. So we're going to mix some thickened epoxy and fill these 3 windows right now.
So we did it. We got the top deck, first layer of fairing all done, and we even got to sanding part of it.
Yeah, and as I anticipated, that was a pain in the keister. But I am recovering now, and the good news is that next week we're going to be doing some more sanding, of course, and we're going to try to finish up all of the mullions, and we're bringing in help. I've got my good friend Brent here. Brent is one of my longest friends, meaning I don't mean he's long and tall in time. He clear back to high school, and I don't have many of those friends around anymore, so it's always great to see Brent. And he drives all the way in from Visalia, and if you don't know where that is, it's quite a drive in for him to do work on the boat every so often, and we really appreciate that. And so next week, I'm going to get to laze around some because I'm going to make Brent do all the work. But as a reward for all that hard work he's going to do, Brent's going to come sailing with us. And so Brent, where in the world do you want to go and why?
So a couple things. I would really love to do a big ocean crossing. I think most people probably don't want to do that. It's kind of boring or whatever, but I would love to do an ocean crossing. And I would love to go to the South Pacific, do some diving down there and see the beautiful islands. And,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's good news. We can combine those two things because when we get started, the first thing we're going to do is go down to the Sea of Cortez. And then from Puerto Vallarta, we're going to depart and do an ocean crossing, probably the largest one we'll ever do. And we're headed for the Marquesas Islands in the South Pacific, and then on to the Tuamotus and the Society Islands. So that'd be perfect because you can cross an ocean and then do scuba diving in like the Tuamotus, which is excellent for diving.
Nice.
But you'll see more of Brent in the next week's video because we're going to put him to work. But this week we got a lot accomplished, so we were very excited about that. And thank you guys all for spending time with us through all of these boat work. But we do appreciate you.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you to our patrons listed here. We could not do this without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
So we'll see you next week where we're going to get the Mullions finished up. I promise we're going to do it. See you then.
Bye.